Well, welcome everyone to the ARA training session in preparation for the 2021 virtual annual meeting. In this session or workshop and really open discussion opportunity, we are focusing this event on the interactive presentation gallery and how to create an interactive presentation for posting for the 2021 annual meeting attendees, and how those of you who go to the gallery, a destination on the virtual meeting platform, can experience these wonderful works that have underlying papers. The gallery is intended for papers accepted at the ARA annual meeting for presentation in paper sessions, roundtable sessions, poster sessions, and structured poster sessions. Others who are giving papers in symposia who may wish to avail themselves of the opportunity of being part of the gallery will be able to do so upon request by sending an email to the dedicated email box for the interactive poster gallery, and we will be posting that on the ARA website. And Robert, or if you sometime shortly can post that email box in the Q&A. Robert, who I've just referred to, many of you know worldwide because he has been a worldwide presence in all of our events. He is the director of meetings, while the ARA annual meeting is certainly the biggest event that ARA creates and offers with in collaboration with so many of you in April, typically each year. We also have many events and particularly have been very reflective about how to do these well and do these better as we have been moving into virtual spaces during this, what is now more than an anniversary of 1 year since the onset of the pandemic. For us, and I want to underscore for us how important disability access is, not just in the virtual world, but as we return to the place-based world, something that has been near and significant to ARA this century needs to be even more so as we move into this decade, and we are learning much about it. For those of you who do not know me in any of the dues reminder sense, or other ways we have intersected over the years of my tenure, I am ARA Executive Director. I consider myself your Executive Director across our field. Whether you're a member or not, ARA is committed to the field, to developing opportunities in the field, to advancing knowledge in the field. I suppose you are my family, and behind me, I'm sitting on a stool in front of a fireplace, and behind me are members of my primary family that remain primarily important, but you too are important. I like to think of myself as having dark black hair, but I suppose I would be described by those of you looking at me or wanting a description of me. I have silver hair that I hope has a little bit of a sparkle. I like to have a little bit of a sparkle when I communicate with those I care about, as I care about all of you. This session, as I said, is focused really on the interactive presentation gallery. The agenda, Nathan, if you would bring the agenda up, really has one core kind of purpose, so that those who might be viewing the gallery and visiting the gallery will be able to have a sense of what you will see, which is essentially presentations. Those presentations can be created. This this product itself is a web-based product. We encourage you to try it because it's lots of fun and it has lots of dimensionality and opportunity that that certainly in my early career transparencies did not have. And slides did not have slides in the old 35mm sense of slides. PowerPoint, I suppose, has many kinds of dimensions that are still one-dimensional and not web-based. Prezi has other kinds of features to it. You can use those modalities, as you will learn, within the interactive presentation, what I call studio. When you create it, you can, if you've developed or prefer to use PowerPoint, you can use the interactive presentation in that way. But it also has its own endogenous opportunities that are really quite spectacular, not only as a mode of presenting, if you choose to use this in your live presentation, but also as part of the gallery, both at the annual meeting and when the gallery becomes, as it was for 2020, we had 450 of your colleagues who, long after the annual meeting was canceled in 2020, we invited in September of 2020, if you would like to experiment with the interactive presentation gallery and present your presentation of a paper in that mode. Those individuals chose to do so, and I think had a lot of fun with it. And we hope that you too, particularly if you haven't yet prepared your presentation for the live presentation at the annual meeting, that you look into the features of doing so within the gallery. If you've already done your PowerPoint or have a preference for one modality or another, you can bring that into the gallery. It's an option, like having your paper in the AERA paper repository. It is an option you have available to you. When we started that option, I suppose we had about 1,000 papers, and now we are running about 5,000 papers each year, which is a substantial proportion of the papers presented at the AERA annual meeting this year. Without touting in advance something that you will see from the inventor of the primary inventor and leader of iMuse, which brings to us the interactive presentation product and the gallery where it sits. It has many kinds of things that make you and your work additionally accessible. Most important is that you can both schedule chats, video chats, or written chats with those who come to you and ask questions. You will have the opportunity of putting up pictorial content, animation, many of those things you will see in terms of the mode of delivery. But when you are in the gallery, you have a unique site to that presentation that is time and explicitly dated in terms of when your live presentation has taken place at the annual meeting. Others can visit and see your presentation at their own pace. We encourage, whether you do it at the outset and whether you do it just using the gallery or whether you adapt your PowerPoint to it, not only can you narrate specific slides, but we encourage you to do a brief 3 to 5 minute overall narration so that others who did not see the event live can essentially hear, in the words of the authors, a brief narration that's uploaded, essentially what you view to be important about your research and the presentation that you gave, and the paper that may be in the repository, but not, if not in the repository, subsequent lines of work that that you're doing. Those written narrations will be transcribed by AERA because our commitment to access is as maximum as we can do. And so if you post your oral narration after the annual meeting, each will be transcribed so that when a viewer hits the narration screen at the bottom of your iPresentation, it will say essentially voice and text. And then there are other, other features of being able to have others contact you for you to be able to continue to set up meetups about your work and to essentially, in this early versioning stage of your sharing your research, not just with attendees at the annual meeting, but with the community more broadly, it moves the way we collaborate as a community, not from a cross-sectional time-limited slice of the pie, but to something that during the meeting is dynamic and available throughout the meeting, and that after the meeting, it too will be a way that others can reach you and learn about your presentation as you shared it at the meeting. I think with that introduction, I want to have my colleague Robert Smith make some additional welcomes, and then we will start in two ways. First, Rick Podolsky, who is, as I refer to, the innovator, inventor of the company is iMuse, and the interactive presentation product will be presenting that from the perspective as the agenda sets forth, from the both from the perspective of the user experience, which gives the creator, the authors, an opportunity to see sort of the versatility. You can do chocolate and vanilla and one slide and, highlights of X bullets and nothing pictorial, and that works too with a narration. That can be just the perfect way you want to present your work, or you can add, as you might otherwise do in other modes of presentation, these other dimensions. So we will be discussing, as the agenda sets forth, the user experience kind of first. I suppose that's a bit of a tantalizer. And then what paper authors both need to know and what you do. And what I want to emphasize is it not only is user-friendly, but our attention to it is really to attract you, be able to answer questions during the Q&A. It's, I struggle with Google Docs. I shouldn't supposedly, I suppose in a public meeting, say how much I struggle with it, but every time I struggle with it, I love it better. But we invited everyone who was presenting a paper, had an accepted paper, yesterday, I think late afternoon, and I think about 13, 14 have jumped on and have already done it. And it's, and I think we're going to show you a couple of what your colleagues have done for the 2021 annual meeting. And hopefully this is a point of an opportunity that AERA is providing for you. In each of these sessions, we also want to talk about, and I think it's very important for the interactive presentation gallery and interactive presentations themselves, that they are part, as we situate ourselves, part of our ramped up commitment to disability access. It is a product that really has many opportunities. It surely is not the only way of developing those opportunities, but for us, we see this as having particular kinds of opportunities that other modalities of presentation, from just talking, as I am now doing, without any bullets, to other modes of showing, accomplish. So in each of our orientations and in our essentially workshops and dedicated presentations like this one, AERA this year, out of our commitment to expand and reflect on not only what we're doing, but how to do it better for the virtual meeting and thereafter, we've been really fortunate to bring on our team Emily Bittix, who will be talking at the end about both how this relates to our access commitments and ways in which persons with disabilities can also navigate more general issues with respect to the annual meeting and reach us with things that perhaps we haven't anticipated so that we can do as well as we can. And with that, let me introduce Robert, who's just I don't want to say a partner in crime. I'd like to say a partner in inventiveness in so many things that we've been able to do together. Robert?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Felice. Welcome. In a little over 3 short weeks, we will all be gathering in a virtual space and hosting the annual meeting. We look forward to seeing you there. We haven't seen many of you since Toronto in 2019, so we're looking forward to having you join us. Today, you're going to get a preview of how this interactive system works and how easily you can create a presentation and post it and then use it at the annual meeting for your presentation. So the one last small note, yesterday we sent out invitations to all of those of you who are in the, who have a paper in the system. And within about 12 hours, we had 12 very nice, well-constructed presentations already in the system. And I think you might get a chance to see a couple of those today. So welcome, thank you for joining us. And with that, I'll turn it back to Felice.
All right, so I think the time is now. Rick, take it away, our friend, colleague, and collaborator.
Hello, everybody. Very nice to meet you. I'm going to share my screen here so that I can get started on this grand tour, if you will, of the iPoster system, the iPresentation system. This is the login page that you will have gotten a link to in the letter of invitation that was sent out to you. And we're going to come back to this, and I'm going to show you how to log in if you haven't already done so, and how to create your iPresentation. But I thought at the beginning I would, as Felice mentioned, show you how your iPresentations will be accessed and explored. So I'm going to turn off my video right now so that you can concentrate on the presentation screen. So you will now hear only my voice. And let's take a look at what the gallery will look like. What I'm going to show as an example is last year's iPresentation gallery. And you'll have a link to this on your template. So if you would like to go in as you're working on your poster and explore and see what others have done, you can do it all the time. There'll be a link directly to this gallery. The way the gallery screen works is that all of your presentations will be here, and attendees and yourselves can just scroll through the presentations this way. They're all there. You can, below the thumbnails here, you can see the author name, the institution, their title. We have a keyword search over here. And up here, in fact, you can see that there are drop-down menus that'll help you zero in on the topics that you're interested in by units, by keywords. So here are all the, whoops, I guess I have a combination there that doesn't work. Let me see if I can find a, well, that's not working either. It's just my luck. But anyway, you'll be able to search by keywords, and you'll be able to search by research methods. You can also do a free text search to identify posters that are of interest. We have 2 synchronous communication functions within the system. They're chats and they're live sessions. So the attendees will be able to filter for that. And as you can see, these posters, they have live session, which is really a video session. You can set up your own video meetings using any of the available meeting platforms. And I'll show you how to do this in the second part of the presentation. And then chat, which is a traditional text chat. So clicking on this poster, which is what you do to access it. Let me get this up a little bit so it's a little easier to see. And you'll see down here just directly what I was talking about If either of these were live right now, you would see join chat, join live session. And if it was live, when you clicked on this, you would see the traditional chat boxes with a list of the participants, the questions that they're asking, and the author's answers. Right now, it's not being used. So there's a standard default message, which, as you'll see, you can change. If you missed the chat but would like to contact us, please use the contact author button at the bottom of the poster. And that's this button down here. So attendees, if they have not listened to your live presentation and at any time of the year, actually, because the gallery is going to be available all the time, they can send you a message. We obey all the privacy laws and the GDPR regulations in terms of not exposing your email addresses in the poster itself. So this will be sent to you. They can't see your email, and it's up to you to respond to them. But this is one of the asynchronous communication tools within the system. The other synchronous is the live session button. And here you would set up a meeting on any of the existing platforms. It could be Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, WebEx, GoToMeeting. We can integrate with all of them. Again, I'll show you how. Once you set those up, then that button appears at the bottom, either the chat button or this live session button. And then clicking on this, you would go to the session, which of course right now is not open. But here you can see that the author set up this session using Microsoft Teams. So again, you can use any of the existing platforms.
So Rick, if I can just clarify that during the annual meeting, your live session will be delivered in the platform. But if you want to create another live meeting, this is how you would do it. And when the gallery is open outside of the meeting, after the annual meeting, you will have this latitude at your fingertips. But for those of you, when you're in your poster session, your roundtable session, and your paper session, that is the platform. You will not need to look for URLs. You don't need to set up anything. You will be brought to that session. And when you're brought to that session, if you choose to use your presentation, you will just open a window in your browser, just like if you chose to use PowerPoint, you would put it on your desktop. So Rick is emphasizing here the additional opportunity that you can do in the virtual meeting space if you want to create another live session, but its primary value is well after the meeting, as others contact you, you can, post times to get together with other groups.
Great, thanks for that clarification, Felice. It's an important distinction. Looking at the poster, you can see that there are sound files here. So the system gives you the ability to add any kind of audio file, the most common being a narration, which is what you see here in this case. So when you click on a content box, it'll open. Also important to know, there's no restriction on the amount of content you can add. So these are scrolling boxes, and they'll scroll as far down as whatever content you have to add, you've added. So it can be as much text as you need, as many images as you need, video links, audio links like this, links to external web sources. There are no limits other than perhaps good sense. But you can load as much content as you need to present your research with the detail that you believe that it deserves. So don't be afraid of adding content. This particular author has used the audio function to do a narration, and it sounds like this.
Hello and welcome. I'm Rita Hordoshi from the University of Nottingham. In this short talk, I will introduce our work with Tom Plack from the University of Sheffield.
So she has done really granular narrations of the content in each of these content boxes. And I'll show you soon that there's another tool for doing narration, but she's done it this way. Going back here, we'll just show you another example of what you can do. Here is another poster that's another presentation that's used the same tool.
We will describe how, in our Faculty of Education, we prepare teacher candidates to teach inclusively in relation to gender and sexual diversity. We feel this is a critical component in becoming—
Let me just pause it here. Your visitors can listen to your narration, and then they can scroll through the content boxes to follow whatever you're talking about. So I'll just show you how that works.
socially responsible educator.
So I can scroll through this as the narration is going on. You can see here that there's also a video. You can add video to any of the content boxes. The two recommended platforms for video are YouTube and Vimeo. They have streaming servers everywhere, extremely fast. We've got some instructions for you should you not want to have your video discoverable on either of those platforms. There's a way that you can restrict access, but still allow it to be shown here. Your visitors will click on the video.
As teachers, we're creating future citizens of the world. And I feel like it's really important that we equip them with the right tools and knowledge so that they can navigate that world.
I think it's really important.
So video is also a great tool to use. You can include slideshows within the poster itself. They will loop automatically, but as either a presenter or as a visitor, you can pause them and then take a look at the content and then click on like that. A lot of authors will do an iPoster, an iPresentation, but want to include a PowerPoint, for example, that they've done, and perhaps use that in their oral presentation. So what you can do, and I'll show you how, you can transfer your PowerPoint slides to either JPEG or PNG images and load them into the platform. We have a number of different templates, some of which actually just have a single content box. And you can, if you like, load your entire PowerPoint presentation into that and use that as your whole presentation if you'd like. So you can definitely think about that. There's some buttons down here. I mentioned the Contact Author button. The other buttons are buttons that you can add if you feel that you need more content boxes than are available here. Here you can add your references in the references box. Your abstract will be preloaded. So that'll show up here. And here you can add author information about yourself, your team, your institution. You can also include external links. You can link to any website anywhere. In this case, the author's done it here just to show the faculty site at their institution. Any external links will open in a new tab, and your visitors can browse whatever links you have. Very popular to do if you have live data sets anywhere, you're doing long-term studies, you can link to that live data set so that the information is always up to date. And then the Contact Author button, as I mentioned, we have a print to PDF button down here. This is a little different from a traditional PDF because an iPresentation is very different from a traditional PDF. An iPresentation has all of this content that lies under the scroll bar. And a traditional PDF image of this would just show the surface of this iPresentation. It wouldn't show anything below the scroll bar here. So what our print to PDF button does is that it lays out, it extracts all the content from each of the content boxes and then lays it out linearly. So it'll show an image of what your iPresentation looked like as a dynamic HTML page which is it is in its natural state, if you will. If you've loaded up images of yourself and your teams, it'll be shown here. And then all of the other content is laid out here in document form. Now, of course, the videos will not be live anymore. The audio files won't be live. Your external links won't be live, but you'll see the URLs of all of them so that you can copy those, paste them into a browser, and get that information also. So that is the print button down here. And then the Get iPresentation button, when clicked, your visitors can put in their email address here, and they'll be sent a link to your poster. They'll be able to click on the link, post everything in the system, a presentation, a poster, a paper that's being delivered for a panel discussion. All of those are HTML5 web pages, and they all have URLs. That's their unique identifier. So put in the mail here, you'll be sent a link to the presentation. The fact is that this is the URL actually up here. So you could also just copy and paste that, but not everybody is aware of the fact that the URL is the unique identifier. Thus, we have the Get iPresentation button down here. Moving on, another presentation. This time, the presentation includes a narration down here. So you can add narrations, or really you can add audio files, because an audio file could also be an interview. Perhaps you don't want to do an interview with a practitioner or with a student or whatever, because of privacy concerns, because of shyness in sitting in front of a video camera. You can do it as an audio interview instead. Both for audio interviews and for audio narrations, most people do them using their mobile phones, and then will transfer the file over to their computers and add it onto the presentation that you see here. I'll show you how to do that again, but we can just listen to a regular narration here.
Okay, Itaniko Sakokuto. Yoto Kaina, Yoto Chitapi, and in my language, the Blackfoot language, introductions are very important. And what I shared with you is Oki means hello.
Likewise here, as the narration is going on, I can open and scroll through the content boxes.
Itaniko, my name is Sakokutu. Sakokutu is a name that was given to me because I was following the footsteps of my great-grandfather.
So the narrations, both in terms of a general narration for the whole poster, for the whole presentation, like this one, where the author is really framing their research, giving it context, and then the other way of doing it, which you can combine, of course, by doing narrations specific to each content box, getting much more granular in your descriptions. So both of those are really great ways to present your research, particularly in these virtual times. Your visitors will be looking at your poster long after the conference itself, and this gives them a chance to get a lot more depth. Obviously, the narrations are also really good in terms of accessibility. Thus the really granular narrations within the content boxes are especially good for that. So another example, here is a much simpler presentation template. This was really a paper that was delivered. The author decided to, in addition to the paper itself, add narrations here. So here's the basic outline of the presentation, and here's the narration.
Hi, welcome to my poster examining father-child interactions and discourse during shared book reading with infants and toddlers.
So another thing to think about. And again, images are great. If you have images that you can use, we recommend it highly that you try and use them as much as possible. If not, still great. as you can see here, here's another example of another option. This is the single content box presentation. And here the author has decided to do a video presentation.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Foster. I'm a graduate student here at the University of Georgia, and I'm here to present my paper, When a Mathematical Connection Diverges. Before we begin, I'd like to point out some video features. First, close.
So it's a great medium for that. And then this is what I always thought I was going to. Here's a very traditional paper presentation using the system. Again, all of this, by doing it this way, all of your presentations are available on the gallery and available for as long as you like. And you're also available here to add all of these buttons. Here's a general narration that the author added for this.
Response to intervention, also known as RTI, is a multifaceted frame.
So there you go with that. And then just another really, really nice presentation from last year, the narration.
Hi, bienvenida. Tendo. My name is Dr. Lori Santamaria. Welcome to our presentation, Sustainable Mixteco Indígena Research.
Including a video.
So, la manera en que nosotros estamos investigando.
And a slideshow. So there's some examples of what can be done. And now I think we'll go over to how do you create one of these presentations. Go back here. The letter of invitation that you were sent includes a link to this page and also your username and your password. You enter them here and submit, and you will come to the welcome page. You probably noticed on the letter of invitation that you've got links to our technical support. We have them again here, our tutorials, quick guides, FAQs. Here's privacy information if you'd like to find out more about how your personal data, which is very little actually that we have, how it's used and stored. Next, you choose your presentation. If you have been authorized to create more than one presentation, you would see them listed here, and you just pick the one that you want to start with. If you only have one, that you would go right to the template chooser. We've got 9 different templates, ranging from the very basic one content box with a slideshow. This is the template that I would use if you want to just keep things really simple. You can transfer an existing PowerPoint, as I mentioned, to JPEG images, and you can load them up in this slideshow. But you can also use this, as you saw earlier, with just loading up a document and then maybe adding a narration to it to give it a little extra life. You saw also the 2 content box template here. We have one with 3, a couple with 4, one with 5, one with 6, another with 6, and one with 7, both of which also have the slideshow functions. So you choose the one that you want to start with, and I'll choose one of the ones with the slideshow so that you can see how that works. I'm going to pull up a little content here so I can show you how to load up your poster. Here we've preloaded your poster title. Down here you'll add your name and the names of your co-authors if you have them. And even if you spell your own name wrong, you can still correct it there. Here you would add the name of your institutions. Here you add the titles of your content boxes. I'll just pick a couple of really basic ones here. And I'll just add something here. At any time, you can decide that you would like to change the color scheme here, the backgrounds, the design, if you will, of your poster, and move from the default, which you see here, and add, personalize it. So you click on the design button. You can do really simple things like add a color background. You can add a gradient here. You can add background color in the content boxes. You can add some color up here. You can move this around so that you can see what's going on in the background. You can change your title fonts. You can change your title font colors. And you can also decide that I want to do something else. So you just hit reset, OK, and you go back to the default. You can add image backgrounds. And you click here. The one thing to remember is that the resolution, the proportions of the iPresentations are 1920 pixels wide and 1080 pixels high. That's high definition format. So if you want to have a background image, it's important that that image is in that proportion and is in that size. 1920 pixels wide and 1080 pixels high. So you'll get a reminder here. But all of the image work itself is all drag and drop. So I have a bunch of images here. And if you'd like to add an image background, you just grab one. I'll do the Milky Way here. So you just drag it and drop it into the content box, and you've got a Milky Way background. So it's very easy to do. To add content to the content boxes, you click here, click again, and the editor opens. I think you'll find that it's pretty familiar tools here in the editor. If you want to, in terms of text, you can write your text here on the fly and create it within the content boxes itself. But I'm sure that you're going to be copying and pasting texts from all manner of documents, from PowerPoints and PDFs, websites, Word files, and stuff like that. So you just mark the text, you copy it. I've got some junk text over here. Copy it, open the content box, and paste it in. As I mentioned, there's no limit to the content you can add. So as soon as the content exceeds the size of the content box, it becomes a scrolling box. One thing to be aware of is that our system will scrub all of the texts that you enter and remove all of the formatting. There's two reasons for that. One is that in copying and pasting from web pages, from PDFs, sometimes from PowerPoints, there can be a lot of so-called junk code that travels with it, some of it rather malicious. And it could create havoc with you trying to format your poster, but also be dangerous for the whole system. So we remove all of that code, and you just see it as plain text, if you will, in here right now. The other reason is that if you are copying and pasting from multiple documents, it can get really crazy because each document has its own formatting. And if we didn't remove the formatting, it's cleaned, but then you can do all the formatting yourself and get a unified look for your presentation. So the tools are very familiar. You mark the text you want to format. You can bold it and italicize it. You can add color. You can change fonts. You can change paragraph styles. You can change size. Although we have a lower limit on size. I'm sure some of you are familiar with the dilemma of doing a paper poster or a PowerPoint, and running out of space. You have so much more to say, but the space is so constrained. Since iPosters are scrolling and there's no limit to the amount of content that you have, you don't have to resort to a smaller font size to get all of the content in. So we set a lower limit of 10 points. We recommend that from 10 to 12 points, excuse me, you use 10 to 12 points for captions. 14 points is what you see here, and you'll see that that really works very well whether your poster is being, whether your presentation is being accessed on a mobile telephone or on the big screen. So there's no real need to change it from 14 points, but of course you can, and you can go larger than that also. So if you want to have a subhead within the content box, or just use it for emphasis, you can do it that way. You can also underline text. You can add subscripts and superscripts. You can add bullets and numbers. You can justify either left, center, or right. And then this tool will remove formatting. So that which I just did there, and here you use this to remove formatting and go back to the original. A brief word about justification. We do not include the ability to justify left and right on your margins. And that's really an accessibility issue. It is very difficult, particularly on websites where resolutions can vary, for people with certain visual or cognitive challenges to read texts that are justified left and right. You've probably noticed it. You'll have rivers of blank running through the poster diagonally across it. And for some people, it's very, very difficult to connect the texts over those rivers. So we don't offer left-right justification in the poster. In terms of multimedia, these are the tools up here: insert image, insert video, insert sound file. I'll show you how the image one works. You put your cursor where you want the image to be. You click on the tool, and as mentioned, the image work is all drag and drop. So I'll just drag an image over here, and now we've got an image there. What's happening is that you are sending your images and your texts up to our servers, which are then sending it back down. So everything in the system is online. You're creating online, it's being displayed online. That means that you can access this from any internet connected device and continue to edit. You can also, both as a creator and as a viewer. It also means that you can make changes if during the conference you see a problem with your poster or something, with your presentation, and you want to add something, just go in, log in, and it'll take an hour or so, but you'll be able to then display that in your presentation. So that's images. The images that we allow within an iPoster are JPEG, PNG, excuse me, PNG, and GIFs. So let's add another image here. And in this case, I'll add a GIF. And I'll just do one that's kind of fun because there's so much action in it. But there's a GIF now in the iPoster, in the iPresentation. And you can also add diagrams, charts, graphs, whatever. We suggest that you create them in a good program for creating charts, if you want to use Excel or any other kind of program, and then export it as an image, because as an image, it's going to expand when your visitors click on it. So as an example, I'll just do this again, and I'll add a bar graph here. So now we've got a bar graph in the content boxes. If you want to link to an external website, you mark the text or the image that you want to use as an anchor, and then you click on the link button. and you just copy the URL from whatever web page you want. And I'll just copy a URL here, and you paste the URL in there. And now we've got a link to an external website. I'll add a little color and boldness so that it stands out. This is the add video button. As I mentioned, for this particular purpose, YouTube or Vimeo are the two platforms that we support. And again, you just copy and paste the URL to that video. And we do have a text tutorial on how to do that. So now we've got a video there. And as you can see, they're really super fast platforms. They load very quickly, and they're global in almost all countries, China being the major exception. So we've added a video there. And if you want to add an audio file within the content box, this is the add audio file. I created a narration using my phone. It's over here. So I'll just drag and drop that in. And now we've got an audio file there. So as soon as you see that, you know that the audio is there. And we'll close that. I've loaded a good amount of content here in my presentation, but I'm not seeing it the way it's going to be seen during the event itself with all the editing tools here. So we have a preview button here. Click on the preview, and we suggest that you do it often because this is a great way to check your work. But also when the time comes when you are preparing for your live presentation, this is also a great place to rehearse it, because this is actually where you're going to be sharing your iPoster. When the time comes and you're in the iPresentation, when the time comes, you'll share it here and you'll share this on the screen. But in terms of checking work, just make sure that everything is working the way it should. Open the content boxes here, make sure your images are expanding to full screen. If you loaded up a GIF, that the GIF is GIFing. Here's that chart. Again, the advantage of doing it as an image, it'll expand. Here's the link I created. So let's see if that's linking. It should open in a new tab. And let's see, I obviously linked to a website that's a little slow, but here it is. Your attendees, your visitors, your users can explore this site also, and then go back to your presentation. Here is the video. Let's open it up.
Hi, I'm Pauline Voss, a professor emeritus at the University of Minnesota. I'm going to talk about ambiguous loss.
So that's working, and here's my narration. You'll hear my voice again, but it sounds like this.
If you've ever used a computer to create a document or...
So that's the way that works. These are the default buttons down here that follow with every iPresentation. Let's go back here and take a look at some of the other things that you can do. You can open and close the main toolbar, as this is called over here. And this is one of the 3 templates that includes the ability to create a slideshow. And you have you have 2 alternatives. You can either use it as a text field, in which case, as you see here, it looks like all of the other content boxes. Open it up and the editor is there. So you can do it that way. You can also decide that you don't want to do that. And on these particular templates, you go to the template settings button here, and here you can reset it to the slideshow alternative. So now we can add a slideshow. We call it an image slider. You click on this, and as with everything else, you just drag and drop an image in. So if it's your PowerPoint you want to share, again, just convert it, export it as a JPEG, which you can do, and then add them here, and whoops, drag another image over. And I'll just add a third image here. There we go. So we got 3 images. You can move them around if you want to change the order. And you have a slideshow. What's going to happen with your slideshow is that it sitting in this box here. Let me go over and go to preview again. The image is cropped sitting in the box. And really sitting in the box this way, it's just a signal to visitors that, hey, there's a slideshow here. Look, it's moving. But when you click on it, then you will see the images full screen. So don't be concerned if you see them cropped here. They will expand when you open the content box and show it that way. Some of the other buttons here, author info button. If you want to add more information about yourself, your team, your institution, use this, click on it. You can use all of the multimedia tools, copy your texts in, there we go. And add images, add videos to make that come alive. Here's your abstract. It's going to be preloaded actually. So I won't even bother with that. Here you can add references. Here you can add the text chat and the live session chat. And what you do here is you set your time and your date, save it, and it will appear on the gallery, on the chat. And likewise, the live session, as Felice mentioned, this is not to be confused with the live session that you're going to be doing on the main platform. These are separate ones that you set up yourself for other times. A couple of important words about these two. We have just discovered a bug in our system concerning these times, setting up these times. It's a result of, the result of it is that due to the fact that there have been non-synchronous changes from wintertime to summertime, the US, North America has changed to summertime. Europe hasn't yet. The system has not been able to deal with that, quite honestly. There's a bug in the system so that the hours are not being displayed properly. So what we're going to do to avoid any confusion is that we're going to remove these two right now so that they will not be available to you. We're hoping that later next week, we'll be able to have these up and running again, at which time you'll see them back on here. We're going to send you a mail concerning that. We'll also send you a mail when they're up and running. You can also take a look at up here, this message board for any information about that. So here right now is just the publishing deadline, but click on this and you'll see more information about whatever the message is. So we recommend that you check the messages out when you log in to work on your poster. But again, our apologies on this. This is really Murphy's Law. We just noticed this earlier today that there was an issue here. So you won't be seeing these things.
Yeah. But in many respects, those two functions are somewhat irrelevant to the ARA virtual annual meeting because all of the live sessions will exist in the platform. Yes, true that you can set up, but 10 days later, if you want, 10 days later from now, if you want to set up in advance, so let's say you're presenting on the 9th and you want to set up your own live video chat in the gallery on the 11th, you'll be able to do it. And so it's less of the moment than if we weren't offering a live meeting, but all of the sessions are live as scheduled already.
Sure.
So you don't need to feel quite as badly about the time change. Not that it's not appreciated that you mentioned it.
One of the best of Murphy's laws is that nature favors the hidden flaw, and that's definitely the case here.
Rick, I'm going to suggest that maybe we should sort of open it up for questions, because I want to emphasize one thing about this product, that while it has many things you can do, you can use it exactly in the way that you want to do it, so that it gives you additional functionality to bring to bear. So even though, for example, I said it is very a good idea to do, you or your authors to do an overall narration, we're going to give you time later to go back and do the overall narration if you don't want to do it at the outset, so that when this product is available later in your own words and in a transcription we will do, that narration toolbar will be available, and others when you don't have a live session, as you will in the virtual meeting, will be able to we'll be able to get the overall gist of what your research is about. We cannot transcribe every box, but we want to transcribe the overall box, and I think Emily will probably address that kind of issue too. So I saw in the Q&A, and I should have said, for those of you with Q&A, please use the Q&A. I missed one of my own learning curves over the past weeks, and that is that we don't have chat activated, I think, except maybe for panelists, because chat interferes with the accessibility of those who are participating in this training session. So we've steered toward the Q&A. But Rick, do you want to do maybe a little bit of a wind up, and then we'll open? Maybe you want to show a couple of the ones that were done overnight.
Yes, I was thinking of doing that. So this was really pleasing. Here's one of the posters, one of the presentations that was done just in the last, I think, what is it, 2 days?
Not even, the invitation went out yesterday, so it was done sometime between last night and this morning.
Yeah, so this is really great. So here's a really nice video.
Really strive to create as an authentic learning environment as I can through distance learning, through the online environments. And the double robot has net those
It's really, really cool technology also. Here, good use of images so that they're really big and readable, and just a really, really nice piece of work in a really short amount of time. So here's the abstract and references, and yeah, really nice, a nice presentation. Here's another one, also really nice. Here's the author, very simple author information, basic, the abstract, and so
Rick, you want to open that panel that has the arrow, because then the attendees here can see, or you might describe the one that has the little picture in the middle. Yeah, that one.
This
yeah,
one.
Yeah. So you can see, or we can describe for you that it's kind of a little bit of a path hand drawing, nothing fancy at all, but showing a science learning, I think, science learning experiment. Related to global warming, I think, actually. So yeah. It doesn't have to be fancy dancy to be able to be visually appealing.
That's really cool. Another thing that I neglected to point out is that in the here in the platform, you can, let me close this. Here you can put the logo of your institution up here, and again,
it's left hand. That's the left hand.
Yep, you just drag and drop it in there. And if there are a number of institutions, then you can have a number of logos. The way it works is that to load in a logo, you click on the icon and you drag and drop the logo in like that. If you want to, for some reason, remove a logo, then you click on that and you remove it. Over here, this is the usual space for photos of yourself and your co-authors. So again, just drag and drop them in, and you want to add another one, drag and drop that in. You want to, for whatever reason, take away one, you click on it and it's removed. So that's it. Maybe I'll stop there so we've got plenty of time for questions.
Hi, Rick, this is Tony. Someone has asked if you could talk a bit more about the different content templates.
Yes. I will go back here, and so if you're doing more than one presentation, you can toggle that will be up there. But the differences are, well, let's take a look at the single content box template. So here you can either decide to use this as a text field and then use add your text here, use either only text or any of the multimedia tools. And then you can also decide, again, this one, since it is you have a choice, you can reset it, and I can then do this as an image slider. And let's see, did I click that correctly? Then you can just add your images there. So whichever way you want to do it, you can do it that way. Let me delete that and go back to the chooser. The other content boxes, let's see here, we'll go back here. 2 content boxes, 3 content boxes. These are pretty straightforward. Here's 4, either stacked like this or vertical. And they all have a default color. And you'll see that looking at, let's see, I've got so many things open here. Looking at this gallery, you can see that some of the presentations use the default colors. This is the default color here. This is the default color here. Others have added color backgrounds with a gradient. Others have added images. It's totally up to you. Whatever's the most comfortable, whatever you think is the most enjoyable way of doing it. If you just want to get it done, it's fine with the default. If you want to spend some more time on it, do as you wish.
Tony, other questions?
So yeah, someone mentioned that when they go to choose your template page, it doesn't show which presentation it will be. This person has 2 presentations, 2 papers, and wanted to know how they could find the second paper.
Okay.
I think was, just before you answer, Rick, I think one question is the owner at the moment is the first listed author. So if you weren't a first listed author on the 2 papers, the first listed author can turn it over to you, and then you would see the 2 listings. It might be as simple as that, but Rick, is there any other kind of key to this?
Well, you can, if you have more than one, you would see them up here, and you can choose the one you want to work with, so that when you go back to the template chooser here, you'll see that, again, here's the one. This is the one you've already created, test presentation for AERA 2021. And here's the one that I want to have a new content, a new template for, yet another test. So that's the way you do it. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but that's the way you would see the difference. And you would also see it here on the template itself, where you can see what's created and what's not yet created.
Therefore, I wondered whether the person posting the question, and certainly follow up if we are missing a nuance, that you didn't see two options, even though you have two papers in, and it may be that you're not the first listed author. If you want, if that's the case, and you will be the creator of the presentation, like changing a host or shifting share screen, the first listed author can present it, can shift it to you. If it's a more, if it looks like a glitch to you, or anything looks like a glitch to you, within the creation space, there is a true opportunity to, ask questions and, and seek help within the platform. And AERA has a dedicated box that will be monitored as close to around the clock as we can offer you.
Yeah, let me take that up, actually. This support button here, click on that. You'll see links to the quick guide, the FAQs. This is a link to the to last year's platform. So these cases are from last year, and here are the tutorials. Let's just take the FAQ. So here are the frequently asked questions. The most popular questions, and this is for those of you who perhaps are considering using a PowerPoint presentation and want to know, well, how can I integrate this? One is, as I mentioned, use template 1 in the slideshow format. But the most popular question around is, can I upload a PowerPoint or PDF poster directly to my presentation? And here you will find out that, well, not really, but it's really easy to transfer it. So here's how you do it. And then there's just remember that an iPoster or an iPresentation can contain so much more than a PDF or PowerPoint. So try to take advantage of this by including videos, sound files, links, and stuff like that. So you'll find a lot of information here in the FAQ. I think
the user friendliness is, it's how you save your PowerPoint. And if you save it as in a PGN mode, then you can drag it in and it would be in your slider. So it's not like you have to recopy page by page.
Right. It's up to you how you want to do it. What format you want to add it into. And then what Felice was referring to is contact our support team. Yep. Most of the answers to your questions you will find in the FAQ or the tutorials or the quick guide. If they don't help, click on this, put in your name, add AERA here, and your message. We have a support desk that's open from 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern time until 8 p.m. Eastern time. So we're happy to help you. And if you get it in after those hours, we're going to take care of you first thing the next day. So we're really anxious to provide all the help and support that you need here. One other thing I wanted to mention is my settings here. The first one is manage co-authors. So you're the main author here, but if you want to invite your co-authors in and give them editing rights, you do it here. You just put in their name, their email address, any message you'd want, send them the invite. You'll see a list of the co-authors that you've invited down here. They'll receive a mail with username and password, and they can log in and work on the iPresentation. The one caveat is that we don't have real-time collaboration yet in our system. So we strongly advise that only one person is in the iPresentation at a time to edit. As main presenter, you should be the one to kind of manage that, to make sure that there aren't 2 or 3 people in at the same time, because there's a risk of overwriting, that somebody with less information's presentation will overwrite the one that's being worked on. So one at a time. Later on in the year, we will have collaboration, but for this conference anyway, just make sure that you're only one at a time in the presentation template.
Now, in the narrations that you do and then upload, which, you know, typically can happen on a cell phone, you can share that time by just the way Rick and I are now talking. If we were recording it, we would be together on a 3-minute or 5-minute narration. I saw a question about multiple languages, and I actually didn't see the answer, but I thought I might be best positioned to answer it if my colleagues hasn't yet. And that is, AERA policy is that other languages than English can be used. And that is true here too. If you do your overall narration and want to chunk it up in multiple languages, that's fine. And in your 8 or 10 minutes of doing a paper presentation, you can share languages. We ask that at least half of the sharing be in English. And while I suppose there may be specific units that depart from that guidance, we are very encouraging of multiple languages, but we do expect that some portion of that presentation be in English. And this is no different than that you can do this in that modality. Indeed, we encourage that. And if you went through the 450, which were really intended for the gallery, since there was no anticipation of a live 2020 meeting come September, you will see multiple languages used quite comfortably. And we will translate into multiple languages for the overall transcription for those that may be in multiple languages, meaning we won't translate it into English. We will transcribe it the way it is stated.
Rick, a few people have asked how will they be able to share their iPresentation during their annual meeting session?
I might be in the best position, having lived more with specifics of the platform. So I think I'll take that, and then that it is essentially will happen if you want to use your iPresentation to present. You will be in a session with other presenters, or perhaps you'll be in a poster session, a roundtable, or a paper session. You will do, well, I'll say two things. One, you will be brought to, you will not have to figure out how to get to your session on time. You will be brought to your session because the all academic system is talking to our virtual platform. So you will be, if you are in any mode of presenting in a session, whether chair, discussant, or paper presenter, you will be brought into that session 10 minutes early. Before the going live time. So the 10:40 session, you will be brought in at 10:30. If you are presenting in any mode and you are presenting with a, whether it's PowerPoint or the interactive presentation, they only vary in the following way. If it is a PowerPoint, you will want to not be searching for it as you speak or as you're called upon to present. So you will, with a PowerPoint, as you typically probably do, you will bring it from wherever you've got it in My Docs or on a USB drive, and you will put it on your desktop. Similarly, if you are doing an iPresentation, and that'll sit at the bottom tool as something you're going to be looking for on your desktop as it's your turn. If you are presenting an iPresentation, you will go to the gallery beforehand. You can go to the gallery 10 minutes beforehand or 2 hours beforehand. You will open it because you will be going to a contained website on the platform. Just think of it as going to the library, the interactive presentation library. You will go to it. You will open it as a web, essentially if you had multiple websites open. So it would be across the top bar. Sometimes many of you, you'll try to keep the number of anything down on a platform so that you're bringing up your maximum power. That would be as true if you're using PowerPoint or anything else. And that would sit as a tab on your top bar where typically your various web pages are. When you begin to present, so let's say I'm calling upon Robert Smith to present, he would just go and he would say hello, just like Rick did. And he'd say, now I would like to also be able to show and describe my presentation, and I am bringing up my iPresentation, or whatever you would normally say with Prezi or PowerPoint or any other modality. That would come in. You will be sharing essentially your web page, or you will be, if you use PowerPoint, you would be sharing something from your desktop. As simple and just something you'll want to be doing before you begin talking, so you're not going out looking for it.
Yeah.
Just like you wouldn't want to go into My Docs and look for it. Or you wouldn't want to go into My Docs if you were me, because I got too many My Docs. But go ahead, Rick.
Just the other thing you can do is open your template and hit preview, and this is what you're sharing. It's the same thing that's on the gallery. So
right.
It's
yes, you could do it that way, but it's still sitting on your browser. I mean, it's still opened already, is what I'm saying.
Yep, absolutely. And then recommended.
So Rick, can you show us how you would do that?
Well, actually, I'm doing it now, really, because I'm sharing my screen. So I would want to just go to full screen and share my poster, my presentation like this. So when during the live session, I would be ready to share my screen and then display the poster this way.
Now, when you bring up any piece of the poster, the other pieces, if you're scrolling down or showing a visual, the whole 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9 aren't visible at that time. So if you open up the methods, the others become secluded and very indistinct in the background.
Yeah. So indeed, let's go here and open this presentation. So the background disappears and you've got this. So you'll go through your content boxes and display, scroll, open your images to do your presentation. Or if you've decided that you want to do a slideshow, then you would just open your iPresentation, click on the slideshow box, and go through it that way.
Tony, I thought, well, maybe we should, maybe I would think, given the time, and I'm only seeing 2 Q&As, there probably will be more, but I'd like Emily to be able to, especially because accessibility and disability accessibility is so central to why we introduce this product and opportunity. I thought, Emily, it would be a good time for you to join with us.
Would you like me to give up the screen share here? So if you want to share.
I suppose.
Yes, please.
Yeah, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Emily Badix. I am the Associate Director at the Longmore Institute on Disability, and I've been brought in as a access consultant for this to work with AERA. I don't know why my hand is raised. I have plenty of attention. I don't need more attention. I am just a brief audio description. I'm a white woman. I have some really big curly hair and some dangly earrings, and I'm sitting in front of a very messy bookshelf. And I have a slideshow up, and I'm going to present about iPresentation access to make sure that as you develop these presentations, you all are thinking about building in a way that everybody who's part of AERA gets to experience your content, and these features will help make that possible, because that's obviously the goal, to be seen by as many people as possible. So one of the biggest things to think about, as has already briefly been mentioned, is thinking about how a blind or low vision person can access your presentation. Now, there's a lot of notes about, how to do this that apply to your live presentation that we have a guidelines sheet that's coming out. They've already been part of the town halls, and they'll be provided with more detail in some of the trainings coming up, specifically for presenters and chairs. So I'm just going to talk about really thinking about how you do this inside of iPresentation today. So inside of iPresentation, you have the ability, whenever you upload an image, to provide something that's called alternative text. And that is so that somebody who has a screen reading device, if you're blind or low vision, it provides visual cues about whatever is in a visual on the screen. So writing alternative text is an art, and it's not easy. You really want to think about how to do it well and not just do something so blah that it seems like, well, I wish I didn't even know, because, bad access is almost worse than no access, because then you kind of wasted somebody's time more than just like, they didn't provide access. So I have an example on the screen right now. It's sort of a, silly meme, and my meh example of what access would look like is text reads, me looking at the F my kid got for the math homework I solved, 2 monkeys. So that really doesn't give a blind or low vision person anything to understand like why this image is funny. And so you can give a little bit more detail as you think about writing your alternative text. So here's a little stronger example. Sitting near its offspring, an adult baboon clutches a paper, deeply focused on it. The baby looks off in the distance. Text reads, me looking the F my kid got for the math homework I solved. That's going to give much more detail that pulls somebody in on the same information that a sighted person has access to. As you're adding your images in iPresentation, you can click on the image properties and it'll open a box. Then there is a tab for image info and a space that says alternative text. This is where you provide your alternative text. Now, you also want to be mindful of somebody's time. I've seen people go real far and deep into image descriptions, and you really want to balance it out with, what is the important information that somebody needs to access this visual. If it's a visual that is deeply powerful and it's like the core of your presentation, really spend some time giving a thoughtful, thorough presentation, even if it might be a paragraph or even a little bit longer. If it's a logo, the AERA logo, that's just something that's very visual, not something that, you can just write AERA logo, and that's going to be a better, use of somebody's time. So you can add it as alternative text. You also have the option, as has been shown, there's many opportunities to provide audio narration. You can also provide narration of images to provide a little bit more. I'm going to show a quick, very quick sample of audio description built into a media clip, because you can be thinking if any of the media clips are your own or you're a little bit more tech savvy, you can just build audio description directly into media clips. Oh, let me make sure that
From the creators of Tangled and Wreck-It Ralph, Disney. A carrot-nosed coal-eyed snowman shuffles up to a purple flower peeping out of deep snow.
Ooh, hello.
He takes a deep sniff. His nose lands on a frozen pond.
So I won't do much more than that, but there's plenty of great rich samples of audio description that you can access on YouTube. You can even mess around with just putting audio description on for many of your favorite Netflix shows, just to start thinking more about what alternative description can look like, what it means to sort of put into words these deeply visual content. Relatedly, if you aren't so tech savvy as to sort of change your media clip to build it in, you can just add a little audio pre-show, whether it's written into your presentation or whether it's recorded and placed in, which would just give a little bit of information about what a visual is going to convey and show. For example, we're going to see a couple talking heads here, and there's going to be some B-roll footage of the classroom in which I work shown in the background during these shots. Don't forget to plan for audio description in the timing of your presentation. You don't need to think about that for iPresentation, but you do kind of want to think about, if you're building your iPresentation for your live presentation, the more visuals you use during that live presentation, you have to describe all of them. So make sure to plan for that. You also need to be thinking about adding captioning to your multimedia text. And there's a link on the screen, washington.edu/accessibility/videos/, and all these links are going to be provided in the guidelines that we'll be releasing soon as well. This has information about how to add those captions in if your video is already on Vimeo, if it's on YouTube, if it's on Facebook. Also think about avoiding jargon and using simple language. This is something that's been advocated for by disability activists and scholars. It's hard. It's really hard for academics in particular. We love our terms, but it is really crucial to making your presentation more accessible. And it's also an example of something that you built in, and it makes it easier for people with certain learning disabilities or who use ASL and captioning. It's also just going to be easier for everybody to sort of get on the same page, understand what everyone's talking about. You want to think about using big fonts, 24-point fonts. Even though, a screen reader could zoom in on these iPresentation galleries because you'll be doing them live during your presentation, that gives a, greater ease so that somebody wouldn't need to do that. Be cautious of GIFs and slide animations. A lot of times, you might have some cutesy chuckle that comes with it, but like if it's really flashing, if it's really sort of intense, a lot of movement, that can cause serious nausea and headaches for people. And it's just not worth it for that little, oh, look, I put a GIF in my presentation. And then you want to use descriptive links to help people who use screen readers understand what the link is leading to. So, for example, it's very common that you see people just either paste the long link in, and then the screen reader is going to read that whole long thing, or it's going to say, click here. And the way screen readers read links, they don't necessarily always read them with the text. You kind of move through the links on the page. And so as a result, you want to use descriptive links that give a little bit more information. This link contains information about descriptive links, and that all of that text is highlighted as the link that takes you there, so that the person coming back and looking for that link can find it much more easily. So that was a lot of content covered in a quick amount of time. While the email has been shared of who to reach out to if you need support with iPresentations, just general tech support. If anybody needs access support, specifically with iPresentation, in particular, if you're a blind or low vision person and some of the functionality for you to create your presentation is limited, please reach out to access@aera.net. Once again, that's access@aera.net. And again, that's with specific disability access, not just general tech questions. I appreciate everybody doing the work to find ways to make your content more accessible. And I think it'll be a wonderful opportunity for more people to enjoy your program. And thank you, everyone, for your time.
All right, let's, I was peeking in the chat a little bit, but let's open it up for questions. There was one question I want to be sure I did not misinterpret, and that question was directed to me about, would I say something about those who are, I think the intent was presenting a paper in a symposium. Those who are presenting a paper in a symposia and would like to participate in the interactive presentation gallery should send us an email and you will get an invitation. It is sometimes difficult to cross symposia to know when there is a title that just may be a great debate or a title that has an underlying paper. There's a lot of variation between and among the session submissions and the invited submissions. So rather than be presumptive that something with a title was a paper, we have focused the proactive invitation to those, and the proactive opportunity to those who submitted a paper through the paper submission process. And thus those are papers that are organized into paper sessions, roundtable sessions, or poster sessions. But many who did, of the 450 who chose to present their paper or create a presentation from their paper from the 2020 annual meeting that was not to be, came from symposia, and we invite that. We think it is an extraordinarily accessible way of you being able to connect as author or co-authors to the broader research community, nationally, internationally, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, and for others to be able to reach out to you because of their similarly situated work or otherwise interested in your work. So we have a very big tent orientation to this this product and what it can mean for research community in these early versions of the knowledge sharing and production stage that a paper at an annual meeting represents. We know that papers are not dream opportunities of things one might like to do. There is an underlying paper for either an empirical study, a theoretical study, or a methodological work, and that is already a product in the versioning production of knowledge, but it is an early product, as papers at meetings tend to be and are. Are you seeing other things, Tony, that we should address in our last few minutes?
Someone asked for clarification on chairs and discussants.
Okay, well, we have 2 sessions for anyone in a role in a session, any session, including business meetings. That is one tomorrow afternoon, and not to say I'm not going to try to answer the question quickly, but there's an hour and a half dedicated to that with recordings that will be available. One tomorrow that I believe is 12 to 1:30 East Coast time, and then another I believe is on Monday. So, but the shortish answer is that anyone in a role as reflected in the all academic system right now, whether you're a chair, a discussant, or some invitational sessions are yet to be put in particular parts of the program, but the vast majority of sessions, perhaps not some of the invited lectures and some other things are already in the system. 95% would be my general guess. If you are in any way connected with a role in a session, the data from All Academic has migrated to the Scarrett platform that is our virtual environment. You can think of it as a big convention center. I like to think of it as ARA's island in the midst of the turmoil we've all been living with for over a year, a safe space and a protected space and a secure space to all be together with a great deal of social networking and break times being provided. But if you have a role designation, you won't have to think about where to go. You're not going to be looking for any URLs. You're in this virtual platform with a very impressive set of servers that are very stable environment. You will be brought to, if you suffer from some of my penchant of wanting to kind of hang out and maybe talk longer than I should, and I'm talking with Tony, but I'm doing something at 11:40 in the morning, I will be brought to that session and find that 10 minutes early, you will be there. Now, what do? This isn't a radical change. You're going to do the best practices of what happens in a symposium session. The chairs ideally we'll be in communication with you and you with each other, as you might decide to do the day before or the week before. This is not a substitute for any other communication you might have already had. But when you're together for 10 minutes, hopefully at that point, you've got some touch and feel with respect to how you're interacting from prior communication. But the chair does what a chair does. And, you know, we urge all of our units to identify chairs who are not just clock watchers, but who have some content orientation and capacity to facilitate and make this event a dynamic one. They, of course, open in all of the ways that that happens. It varies whether it's a great debate or a town hall meeting or 5 or 6 people giving brief ed talks versus perhaps how they would introduce a more formal presentation. That should be available and known to all of you as a community, so that in that 10 minutes, you're not working out that dynamic that should happen before a live session at a place-based meeting or at a virtual meeting. But when that, so that when you're together, it really should be focusing on, you know, sound checks, make sure we all are attuned to the microphones opening, maybe reaffirming the order of speaking, or if there's any change that the chair needs to know. There will be no change of authorship of a presenting author on the spot, because anyone with a role will be brought in. Not that it should happen on the spot at the annual meeting. Indeed, that is, you know, I don't want to say it's technically a no-no, but it is technically a no-no. Presenting authors have to be identified in advance. We have a fact sheet that will be posted on that, but that is not new. And then if it is a smaller session, a smaller paper session, it will be a better quality opportunity, but it will operate as you might have experienced meetings in Zoom or WebEx or, you know, one of the other kinds of platforms. And that is the chair. If it's low attendance, the chair could have anyone who wants to be visually present, be present, and microphones can be on, and the chair would call upon people to ask questions at appropriate times if that's happening. With sessions that are running where the estimated size, and that's true of most symposia or many symposia, depending upon, except for maybe the smaller 6, symposia that are anticipated to be upwards of 100. We are working out something in the virtual mode that, of course, in a live mode you wouldn't have. And that is that there will be a designated additional role that will come 10 minutes early as well. And that will be essentially a Q&A facilitator. So just as Tony has aspired to be your voice today of some, well, we're somewhat lower numbers now, but we were, I suppose, upwards of 400. That as we've done with many of our virtual events, and hopefully you've been to any number of them since last March, that when we're expecting a large attendance, we are planning that each of those sessions has a facilitator of the Q&A, and they will be the voice for the questions. The discussants will be ideally, when there are discussants, serving in the same role, which isn't to pontificate, but to focus. You know, so none of those guidances change of what makes for a meeting that is respectful and inclusive. And many of the guidances that Emily just raised and others that she has done in town hall meetings really speak to disability access and other forms of access and inclusivity and welcoming behavior that is respectful and appreciative of all participating. I hope that gives you a thumbnail kind of sketch that the substantive dynamic, and I suppose the socio-emotional dynamic should really emulate the best practices that we strive for in the meeting, and that the mode of presentation and your responsibilities will essentially simulate that in a context that will, I will say, will be richer and deeper and ideally more stable and protected and secure. There's no such issue. I shouldn't say, you know, maybe there is some inventiveness, but there isn't the kind of penetration that creates the quote unquote Zoom bombing, because there's no software on your computers in any sense. You're essentially coming to a secure environment that was actually created as a secure environment for clinical trials and for that were being operated under, the government, where there needs to be multiple levels of security with respect to information that's shared, how it's accessible, but yet the kind of paneling that has really has made over the past decade, major medical breakthroughs through people being able to share information and be together. That's the backbone of this platform. We didn't take an AV company and reinvent it for this. We took a company that's been doing virtual work for some 12 years, I think. And you know what I always say, flevine@aera.net. If I didn't say it clearly enough, if you have additional questions, just email me. Tony, did you see?
Yeah, we've addressed everything that we've received.
Okay, well, I want to thank all of you. I hope you feel that this is about us all doing it together, but we are trying to create an environment that will support you in your success, that you will hear more about at town hall meetings, that has social networking opportunities where each of you can reach out and contact who you want and set up text chats, or actually you can set up your own video chats. We've got plenty of opportunity for social networking hours. We've created break times. And I suppose it would be fair to say, not only do I want to thank really overwhelmingly Rick for his doing these events and really wanting to be and having been part of our community for over a year. When we were thinking of going virtual and planning to go virtual in April of last year, he was seeking and offered us this gallery so that those with papers would have an opportunity to share their work when there was a not to be challenge that all of us faced. And Emily, that we've been working with already for, I suppose now, about a month, has so expanded our own appreciation of how to make our commitments to disability access a reality. And every moment, however much we thought we were doing well, we've learned how to do better, and to think about that. And to the staff, bravo once again. We hope that this is a time for everyone to both look ahead and to be looking ahead positively and creatively and supportively to the 21 virtual annual meeting. And thank you. Good afternoon, evening, or morning, whatever time zone.